Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Economic Empowerment Podcast. And the fourth paper I saw was about policies of criminal records in a frictional labor market. And I actually got the chance to hear the researchers present this, and I just find it extremely interesting. And this focus on the incarceration economy, which I have done an interview a couple months ago back with Dr. Gwynn about the incarceration economy and stuff like that. And this focuses on like in job like application that there's always a common occurrence that you have to check the boxes and stuff like that. And then after the ban the box movement to see how has it affects company hiring and stuff like that. So ban the box policy is a policy that does not allow employer does not allow employers to ask crime related questions in the application stage. So around 37 states have implemented this policy. So then the paper studies the effect of this policy on the labor market outcomes and the crime rates and stuff like that. And no firms basically runs background checks after the BTB policy. I actually asked the researcher about this of like why do they not do it, because they could find out, but it's such a big extra cost to do all the background research instead of just put a check in a box, so that it's not worth it for them to do it. And I think another issue is that like when you have this like the box, right, is basically drives people who are ex-offenders away, because they'd be like, oh, you definitely care about this. And so it provides alternative policy on criminal records, like criminal record dismissal, which is the conclusion they come up with to help with this issue, which is a system and policy implemented in Denmark about 5 years after the ex-offender released from jail. It just got wiped away. And you can see that the year after release, the percent they go back to arrest, conviction, and return to prison. And you can see that there is a surge in almost the arrest got to 70-80%. So which means the United States is not doing a good enough job in doing this. And I don't think this is and a new topic, because we've been new this. It's just we don't know how to solve it. And I think this proposes a really fantastic solution. And so workers basically search in the labor market with or without criminal records, regardless, because they need a job to work. And they just randomly match a firm in the labor market, which they arrive at this question. And a lot of them, there's a probability for them when they don't see this box, they're gonna apply and get in, and that's a random chance. And firm basically chooses the labor market, which restricts market for workers without criminal records, or non-restricted market for all unemployed workers. And basically post a vacancy to hire a worker with a flow cost and randomly match a worker in the labor market. And then there's the Nash bargaining, and that which is in the game theory. A lot of you guys don't know what game theory is, that there's Nash equilibrium was the most optimal solution for the firm to do. And before the ban the box policy, it's basically restrict the market because it exclude ex-offenders, which they will not hire, like I mentioned before. And now it like in the non-restricted markets, firms who do not care about criminal records, all workers can search in the non-restricted market regardless of their criminal record status. And after the BTB policy and the checking criminal records after application stage, firms are basically on a level playing field, because none of them will just do background checks, like I mentioned before. It's because that the cost is too high. So I think this diagram is really great because it just shows the relationship. So this is the ban box policy. There's the direct effects to ex-offenders and workers without criminal records. Crime rate increases, and the unemployment crime decreases, and employed crime increases or decreases. and they want to explore the recidivism and the crime rate decrease or increase. So the policy effects come from two channels: the direct effect on cost committing crimes, and the indirect effect from the labor force composition. And direct effect of workers without criminal records, they are more likely to commit crimes and stuff like that. And you can read this, that the BTP policy helped them to find a job as there are more vacancies available and they do not care if you are offenders or not. And there are two conflicting effects on the criminal behavior of employed ex-offenders, which sometimes you see the up and down error. And the general effect on criminal behavior of employed ex-offenders is that the effect on the cost of committing crimes dominates, and they are more likely to commit crimes, which I think is quite interesting to read about. And the overall recidivism actually increases, as you can see here. And all in all, then here's the discussion, and basically, as we can see here, the results, which the model predicts the effect of the BTP policy, and this only looks at 2010 to 2015, which is the period they implemented it. And I think this here is really important because it increases 4.51 percentage points, and whereas unemployment of ex-offenders decreases because the finding rate of ex-offenders rises, and the total employment in the labor market actually decreases by the 3.05 percentage point, which I think this is doing well. And like I said, this is really useful. The Denmark criminal records are removed after 5 years, and the policy also reduces the cost of committed crimes, which encourages ex-offenders to stay in the labor market. And for ex-offenders, there's direct effect and the indirect effect. And you can read that, like, basically they can become normal after 5 years, and they are less likely to commit crimes because you always have that behind your back. You'd be like, oh, I'm a criminal, I'm a second-class citizen, which I think is really problematic. And for those who are without criminal records, they have the reduction of cost of committing crimes, and the indirect effect is that they will stay in the labor market. And the general effects, the recidivism rate is slightly decreases and the overall crime rate increases. Which here are the conclusion. The paper studies the effect of this policy. And before the policy was implemented, they can search only in the non-restricted market. And after this, firms will not run background checks. So for further research, I mean, of course, I think this is a really well-written paper, and I think I really encourage you guys to check them out, on their official websites about this paper, because it's interesting to read, cite it and stuff like that. And yeah, and I will see you guys in the next episode.